Hey, Food Explorers. Welcome to this week's episode, the Food Explorer Podcast. I'm Colleen, your host. I actually just had to look at my microphone and visually see, yes, the microphone is plugged in. Honest to goodness, there's so many things to remember every time I do a podcast, and sometimes I remember everything and sometimes I forget. Busy week around here, food exploring. We just got home today, a couple hours ago, from a quick sort of weekend getaway to Canmore. I used to live in Canmore, and so I actually, while we were there, filmed an entire episode that I'll need to do some editing for, but it was all about where my foodie, my origin story, like the superheroes, they have their origin story. I do not get bit by a radioactive spider because I would just be dead if a spider got that close to me. But I did not know all the things that I know about food now, even though what I know is very tiny compared to many others, but I always am learning more. And I love spreading that knowledge to other people and sharing, stories and science bits and how to harvest certain foods, how to make recipes with them. But as we were zipping around Canmore, I thought it'd be kind of fun to go to some of the locations that were very instrumental in my foodie journey, my food explorer journey. So that episode will be coming out basically as soon as I finish editing it. It's going to, it's a very visual episode. So really, you're going to want to watch it on YouTube because we go to some really kind of cool locations. I will see though if I can edit an audio version of it as well. And if I can't specifically do an audio version edit, maybe I'll just do sort of a recap of what's in that video for those of you that enjoy the audio platforms. And for those of you that are enjoying the audio platforms, if you could, because we don't have a lot of people subscribe. We have a lot of listeners every week, but we don't have people that subscribe. So subscribe on the audio platforms as well as the YouTube platforms, wherever you're at. Just do the thing, hit the button. This week, we had an article about sour cherries come out. We had an article about rhubarb come out. And we had in our Substack a recipe for a rhubarb crisp, which I'm actually going to make maybe this week. I harvested the rhubarb and then we left town. So the rhubarb is in the freezer. We had no time to deal with it. If you haven't read the Substack yet, just a little hint. Rhubarb is a vegetable. I know you think like me, rhubarb is a fruit because we use it in our fruity things, in our sweet desserts. No, friends, it's a vegetable. And we explain in the article all about why, for a long time, people refer to it as fruit. Also, while I was in Canmore, I took our friend Jim. Hi, Jim. His birthday was on Thursday. We went on Friday. And I went to Jason's mom, and we got to spend a lovely morning together, and we made oatmeal cake. And this oatmeal cake, it's really good. So what we are going to do with that is I'm going to actually write a Substack article about that with the recipe. So the recipe card is like this tiny, tiny little handwriting on it. The card is kind of yellowed and weathered. So I'm actually going to put the recipe on a nice recipe card so you can actually see it, so you can make the recipe. But we had such a lovely day together, and it was so interesting because Jason's mom has been making this oatmeal cake for decades. I'm not even kidding you, decades, multiple decades, probably 50 decades. 50, not 50 decades, 5 decades, 50 years, 5 decades. Oh my gosh, 50 decades. She would be a superhero origin story I don't know what she would be, the best mom category, best grandma, something like that. I don't know. But we spent the day together and we made these oatmeal cakes. And the tips that she had, so for those of you out there that are bakers, she had some really cool tips for how she makes the recipe work for her, because she does a few little adjustments to the recipe, a few little tweaks that I thought were really interesting. So we're going to go through that whole thing in Substack article. And Jason, my partner in crime, his favorite cake is that oatmeal cake. And it is for his birthday every year. That is the cake that he requests. So we have a whole bunch of stories to tell about this oatmeal cake. Jim and Grace, Jason and I did devour the entire 9x9 tray. It can be done. We did it in 3 days, and it was really good. The other thing, as I was zipping around Canmore and filming on different locations, I had a couple of realizations. So I've been talking a little bit about this sensory aroma training, for super taster training that I'm going to do. I would say 50% done the pre-planning stage. You'd think there wouldn't be that much planning that you need to do. You would be surprised, though. I started looking online to find aroma training kits. So basically, you order a kit and it comes with all the different aromas, clove and ginger and garlic and thyme and whatever else. And it's all done in like essential oils. And I could find kits, but I did not find ones that were for sale in North America. And the ones that I did find, they're like 350 pounds. I'm like, 350 times 2 is $700. And then how much for shipping? No, we're not paying this kind of money. So as I was kind of going through and thinking about like, okay, how could maybe I could create my own sensory aroma training kit. Now here's something that you need to know. Often, essential oils that are sold sort of commercially, something that you would find in your Walgreens, Shoppers Drug Mart, those kind of sort of, not pharmacies, but stores that sell, what do they call those stores? Oh my gosh, my brain totally just went blank. Shoppers Drug Mart, like the drugstore. Just call it that. Walgreens, all of those. But the essential oils that they sell in those stores oftentimes are not pure essential oils. So they will have other chemicals added to them. So to do sensory training with them wouldn't make any sense, because there would be other scents in. I have to say scents, like cents, not pennies. We don't have pennies anymore. But if you remember pennies, you always had like a bag full of pennies in your wallet. But for that training, it would not meet my purposes. And most of the stuff that you'd find in sort of a drugstore would be like lavender, peppermint, patchouli, those kinds of things. Jason and I had a funny conversation the other day because we were talking about, what aromas to do for the training. Because what you do is you basically have an aroma, say it's cloves, you smell it, and then so that you can remember it, you have to tie a sensory memory to it. So for me, something like cloves, it's going to be something related to Christmas and holiday baking. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be yet, but we started talking about patchouli, and it's me. It's mostly me. I'm just super rude. I was like, oh, you mean dirty hippie? Dirty hippie. But here's the thing. Okay. I used to love the smell of patchouli. I loved it. I thought it was just wonderful and great. But then I did work with some people, and we will put them in the hippie category. And I did not like the smell anymore because it was so overpowering. And, for me, that's somebody that's very sense, like smell sensitive. If somebody comes around me with perfume or, the dude that sprayed all the Axe body spray on him, I am instant headache. So for me, I wanted to make sure that for all the sensory training that we do, because we want it to be fun. And that's why I'm only halfway done preparing the program, because there's just so many. I'm like a squirrel, pachoo, pachoo, pachoo. My little magpie shiny brain is all over the place. But to make sense of this story, let's get to the point, Colleen. Okay, here's the point. The point is, because I don't sleep, and in my, brain-addled, where I just don't have any sleep, I remembered that there's a dude here in Alberta, Blaine Andrusick, and he has a business, and he creates essential oil blends. So he has one, it's called like Sunshine in a Bottle, and it's all like different citrus essential oils mixed together. He does a Thieves of Marseille essential oil mix. And he, in his catalog of products, has single note essential oils. So I realized that I could actually source everything that I need from a local Alberta company. So I'm going to actually work with, I got a hold of his company. I just sent, info at, and his assistant got back to me right away. So I think what I'm going to do is see if I can work with her to put together this kit with the aromas that I want, but in a smaller size bottle, because they're the ones that they sell, commercially at stores are a 12 milliliter bottle, and I don't need quite that size. I need a smaller one. And I know he does have, I'm pretty sure he has 2.5 mil bottles, but that's for like some of his specialty stuff. So I'm just going to throw it out there and see if we can get a smaller bottle and put together my own dang kit that will not cost me $700 plus shipping. So I'm excited about this. The other thing that I just did recently was a guest appearance on a podcast. So I'm very excited. I was interviewed by Holly Penny for the Holly Penny podcast, and she does sort of business and growth and empowerment for people that are, working maybe as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, all that kind of stuff. And she has a great podcast. So she has episodes with guests and then solo-sodes as well. So that episode will be coming out soon. So I will let you know when that gets posted so you can listen in on that conversation. Also, while we were, just before we went to Canmore, we went to my students' grad for the entrepreneurship course. And I'm so excited because I kind of put it out there. Jason kind of gave me a little nudge. And so I put it out there to the coordinators, would it be really great if we could get just a little bit more time with the students, because pretty much everybody got to the point in their business where they can get going, but there was just a few more little things that I really was wanting to help out with. And so I'm actually going back tomorrow to see my students, and we had their grad last week. And then I got, so gorgeous. So I got this beautiful lanyard, a beadwork lanyard as a gift. So the beadwork lanyard is teal, orange, red, yellow. So the colors of the medicine wheel in a lanyard. So I got that. And I got a sweetgrass braid. So this sweetgrass braid, this braid smells amazing. Oh, it's so, and here in the microphone. There you go. There's your little noise. There's your ASMR for the sweetgrass. So I got these two things, a beautiful card from them. So on top of getting gifts 2 weeks before from the students, then the coordinators gave me some gifts as well. So that was really lovely. And we had, we just went up for a dinner in a little town about an hour and a bit away from Edmonton. So Jason actually got to come too, which was great because he actually got to meet my students, because he's heard so much about them. I was basically with them for not quite 6 weeks, but so he was happy to meet them as well. And it was lovely. So I'm very excited that I get to go and continue doing some stuff with the students. 2 final things to share with you. No, 3. Okay. Back to Canmore. Okay, Zoom. We're going back to Canmore. I feel like I wish I was still in Canmore. I love Canmore so much. Gosh. Somebody buy me a house in Canmore. Like, or buy me a condo. Just buy me something. Let me move there. I have no money. Maybe you have money. You can let me move there. But in Canmore, there is a spring, a freshwater spring. So you can go and get fresh spring water. And when I used to live there, I would go all the time and I would just fill up jugs of spring water. So for filming my foodie origin story, of course, we went to the spring. The funniest thing was one of the times I was at the spring, because pretty much every week. And the one week I went, and there was a guy sitting there and he was trying to kind of be incognito, and he was wearing a big poncho and his hood was pulled up. And I walked up and I was like, "Hey, David, how's it going?" And he kind of looks up and he's like, "Oh, you know who I am?" Yeah, I do. So it was actually a gentleman named David Wolf. He was big in the raw food scene. He was somebody that he's written a lot of books about raw food, vegan, gluten-free, using superfoods to super energize your health. And he's very distinctive. You cannot miss him. I mean, it would be like walking in somewhere and seeing The Rock and being like, "Oh, I wonder who that guy is," right? It's The Rock. You would know who it is. So I always would run into interesting people at the spring, and then I end up with just sort of these conversations, because people that want to search out spring water are an interesting group of people, but also they're people that typically are very sort of health conscious, health forward. And the spring, it's all year round. You can go to this spring and get water. So Jason and I came home with the big giant blue jugs full of water. Plus we had water in the water bottles, because we, of course, filled the water bottles up while we were at the spring as we were heading out for a day of adventure and filming. So there's the one thing. The second thing is books. You know I love books. I found the coolest thing in Canmore. It is called The Spice Box. It was at the bookstore. So I was filming a section at the bookstore because when I lived in Canmore, I had started my raw vegan gluten-free business. So I used to make desserts, lots of desserts. I would make these chocolate mousse cakes. So it was basically like chocolate mousse, all made with, natural ingredients, no preservatives, no nothing. Black forest cake, like just really, I wanted to make the desserts that I love, but I would make them as a raw vegan gluten-free version. And my goal was always to make it in that version where people, if they ate it, they wouldn't feel like they were missing out on, the real thing, but they would also have an experience of food that was very different. Sometimes, when you eat some of these things, like a traditional black forest cake, sometimes you feel a bit heavy afterwards, quite a bit of sugar in there. And I wanted people to feel energized, like they weren't over, stuffed to the brim after eating these desserts. And so Jim and Grace lived across the street from me, so they were my guinea pigs all the time. So we talk about that in the episode. But I was filming a segment at Cafe Books. Love Cafe Books. Cafe Books used to bring in specialty books for me all the time because they knew that, the newest, latest, greatest raw vegan gluten-free cookbook would be my jam. A few episodes back, I actually talk about all of those books are now being donated. And part of it is not, and as I talk about in the episode, it's not that these books are bad. These are great books. They're great intro books. Anybody that's getting into that lifestyle that wants to make really good things, that would be the book to go for. Or books, there's, how many? I think there's about 30 books that are out the door. But the reason that for me, I feel comfortable letting those books go is, one, I have built my knowledge level up pretty substantially, not to brag, but I'm pretty good. And the other thing is that one of my very, very good friends, Crystal Dawn of Crystal Dawn Culinary, who I had in another episode, we had a great conversation. She has a beautiful cookbook out. Her cookbook is really, for me, it's the standard. I don't know why I would use anything else at this point, because she is so far beyond what any of those other books that I had could offer. And I'm also part of her culinary community, so I'm covered. So the books can go. But this came home with me because I could not help myself. Taste New Worlds, the Spice Box. This was created by Emily Dobbs. And Emily is somebody that does really crazy cool work. She is a chef. She is an artist. And so inside the box, it's got these beautiful sort of polka dots. So the outside of the box is kind of like this sort of orangey red color. And then there's little polka dots. You flip it open like if you had like a recipe card index, like a Rolodex type of thing. You flip this open. You have all the index inside for aromatic, citrus, earthy, sweet, hot, and pungent spices. You go through, you pick which spice you want. So say you pulled out the card for ginger. There's a beautiful graphic on the card. At the bottom of each card is a color-coded section. And so this one is woody, fiery, lemony, spicy, and earthy. And then on the back of the card, what is ginger? Ginger's a rhizome, the Latin name for ginger. Information about ginger. So each spice has different bits of information. So she's kind of pulled information, some of its culinary history, some of its uses, some of its harvesting. It's all different things. Kind of like what we do with our Substack. She has substitution. So you don't have ginger. What can you use? You can use galangal. It says on the back of this card. What does it pair well with? So this kind of goes into like flavor Bible type of pairings. So for ginger, she's pumpkin. Pumpkin does pair very well with ginger. Pears, right? Peanuts. I can attest to all of these. These are all. And dark chocolate. She has dark chocolate on there. One of our most popular chocolate bars is our candied ginger chocolate bar with 2 types of ginger on it. The last section is she goes through classic uses, modern uses, and then adventurous. So each one is different. So like the dried lime, I just pulled a couple cards out here. Dried lime. So again, she's got the history. What is the dried lime? It's a fruit. Funny enough, we had an incredible drink the other day. Dried lime is also called Lumi lime. There's a company. We don't know anything about this company yet, so I'm telling you guys first. It's called Wild Folk. It is out of Okotoks, Alberta. So that's sort of central Alberta. And it was non-alcoholic drinks in a can. And some of you are like, why would I drink something non-alcoholic? Hear me out. There's a lot of people that don't drink. But we got the first one, which was called Mezcal Margarita. So it's basically a non-alcoholic Mezcal Margarita. My goodness, you guys. My goodness. I could have drank that all day. It had amazing herbal notes. It had lime, because it had the Lumi lime in it. But then it had smoked salt, and you could really taste the smoked salt. You could taste, I think that one had lemon in it as well. It was phenomenal. We actually shared the can with the dude at the store because Jason was like, you need to try this. And he just happened to have cool ones in the back. So we got that. The second one that we had was called the Bee's Knees. And it was a honey forward, citrus, grapefruit, elderberry, ginger drink, again in a can. So it basically, the whole drink is meant to just, put it over rocks or something like that. The second one that we had was good, but because we'd had the mezcal margarita first, which was phenomenal, I'm going to have to get these guys on the podcast because I could not believe how good they were. So I had just bought the spice box. I hadn't even gone through it yet. We went into this store. It's a cute little boutique liquor store that sells very not your usual types of liquor. So lots of local beers, spirits. In Canmore and Banff, there's lots of different distilleries. So they had a lot of local products there. And so this wild folk product being out of Okotoks is very close to Calgary. But after we went we went to the tea store, and we went to the liquor store, and then Jason needed another coffee because he was having a coffee crisis. And I just started going through the box and pulled out the one card for dried lime. And I was like, we just drank some of this. So we're reading it. Now, why is this so amazing? Because I'm doing sensory and aroma training. It's coming, you guys. Don't worry, it is coming. I won't just keep teasing you with it. But this is going to be a great resource for me to use for that. And it was just sitting there. I went to the cookbook section in Cafe Books, which is much, much smaller than it used to be. But they still have a good variety of books and a good stock. So finding this was I was like, yoink, mine. Second book I am going through is called How to Taste. And this is by Becky Selengut. And she is a Pacific Northwest gal. This book, I am so delighted with it. She goes through in this book how to taste. And you're like, obviously, Colleen, that's what the title is. But not only that, let me flippy. If you're listening to the audio, you can hear the flippy. She goes through the principles of taste, and then she does salt, acid, sweet, fat, bitter, umami, aromatics, bite, which is your spicy components, texture, color, and then a few other things. Wow, this is fantastic. She has all sorts of interesting fun facts, side notes. How do you taste? Learning to taste, knowing the difference between different things, and how to train your palate. So I just got this the other day as we were leaving town from the library. I have another book at the library right now. I got to go get tomorrow. It's another book, and it's from the point of view of tasting coffee. But apparently she has some really interesting palate training and coffee wheel graphics in the book. So quite excited about that. I'm back. So Cork Dork, I talked to you guys about the book Cork Dork. I'm back to reading parts of Cork Dork already. I know I just returned it to the library, but I was like, oh, I need that back. So brought the book back because there was a couple of chapters that had incredible science information in there. So I need to go through and read it again. Okay, let's see. I got my list. Check. I done everything on my list. I done. I'm going to get the episode for you that I did in Canmore edited. I still have my yogurt episode. My goodness. I have one more thing that I have to add to the yogurt episode. Then I can get the yogurt episode out for you guys. That will also be just a YouTube one, just because I'm literally showing you how to make yogurt. So you're going to want to watch that one. The oatmeal cake recipe and interview with Jason's mom is coming out. Oh, she's so cute. I think she's shrinking though. I think she's shorter than she was. And what else have I got coming up? I think that is all that we have coming up. Lots of exciting things as always. If there's anything that you as a listener or watcher would like to have me chat about or research or find out more information, whatever it is you want, just let me know. We get so many wonderful comments. What did we get last week? Oh, one of our friends, she's so sweet. We did an article about cherries, and she did not know that you can just basically take a straw and poke the pit of the cherries out. She didn't know that. So she was like, that is an amazing tip. And now I feel like I can deal with cherries. So we love when we get all of our little comments and stuff from people. They'll send us emails and everything like that. So thank you. It really does mean a lot. Subscribing would mean a lot. 5-star review would be really awesome if you're on a audio platform and you want to be like, hey, we really like that podcast. We'd like to listen to Colleen ramble every week. I'm really good at rambling. If there's rambling to be done, sign me up. I'm there. So now I'm going to finish it off. That's the last thing I had to say. I hope you're having an amazing week. We're kind of in the last little bits of summer here, and I can't wait for next week's episode. So get ready for that. I will talk to you soon. Have a good one, everyone.